Toronto has officially hit buyer's market territory, but what does that actually mean? And are we in a buyer's market in every single property type and every single area? I'm Michael Ouzas. I'm a realtor in the Greater Toronto Area. I'm on a quest to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. So go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button. If you ever want to book in a call with me, click on that first link in the description down below. So what exactly is a buyer's market? And this is what I get asked very often, especially now as the media has caught on to how slow sales are out in the Toronto real estate market. The stats came out for October and they weren't exactly super glamorous when it comes to resale properties in the city. I saw an article the other day that Toronto is in a buyer's market for the first time in decades, and I thought it'd be great to go through what exactly that means when it comes to real estate in Toronto. Essentially what they're referring to is the MLS Months of Supply. So for the Greater Toronto Area in October of 2023, we hit 4.2 months of supply, which is the highest level since February of 2009. That being said, 4.2 months of supply is not exactly a buyer's market. Here's the breakdown on how we describe what type of market we're in. So for a seller's market, you're looking at 1 to 3 months of inventory. For a balanced market, 4 to 5 months of inventory. And for a buyer's market, generally it's 6+ months of inventory. Some would argue that 5 months is the tipping point for buyers, and I would agree with that, because when we are in ultra seller's market territories, like when we hit the peak of spring last year in 2022, we were in 1 month, or in some cases half a month's amount of inventory. So you might be wondering, what is months of inventory? Well, that is the absorption rate, and if we were to not have any new properties come to market, how long would it take for all the current properties on the market to sell at the current rate? So being at 5 months of inventory, for example, it would take us 5 months to get through all the existing inventory if properties were selling at the rate that they're selling at currently. Now, I thought this was important to break down because when it comes to what type of market we're in, the city of Toronto performs so different than other areas in the Greater Toronto Area. If we look at the GTA as a whole, not only do the areas perform differently, but the type of properties also perform differently. And the reason I think this is super important is that if we look at this graph here, not every property type in every market is in buyer's territory. If we're looking at Toronto condos specifically in the west, central, and the east, in general, we are over 4 months of inventory depending on where you're looking, which would put these into balanced territory with the Toronto Central leading the way, which is just under 6. So we'll call this a buyer's market. And it's true, we're seeing that on the market right now where there are a really good amount of condos for sale, and many of them have been sitting for a good amount of time. If we take a look at the Toronto Central condos, which are leading the way in the amount of inventory, we're at about 6 months of inventory, which I would argue is in a buyer's territory. There are many condos on the market that have been sitting for even more than 30+ days. If we look at the Peel region, which is Mississauga, Brampton, Milton area, we're over 6 months of inventory, almost into 7, which is a very high amount of listings in that area. But then if we take a look on the opposite end of the spectrum, in the eastern part of Toronto, so think, for example, E01, the beaches, they're at about 2 months of inventory when it comes to detached properties. 2 months of inventory is still a very active seller's market. So if you're looking for a detached house in the Toronto East End, it's not suffice to say that they are in buyer's market territory. The other thing to keep in mind is that these categories factor in all property types, and of course in the detached market, depending on how expensive the property is. For example, Toronto Central detached market, you're looking at pretty much a $2 million price range, give or take, which puts even more supply onto the market. If we're looking Toronto West, so Roncy, Bloor West Village, about 3 months of inventory, which is still in a seller's market. Semi-rows and towns, kind of in that middle ground of a balanced market. And in condos, we are looking in a balanced to buyer's market across the board. Just want to go through what that looks like and hope you learned something today. If you did, hit that subscribe button. Again, we're trying to get to 1,000 by the end of the year. I'm Michael Ouzas. Thanks for watching.